I mean, I just think the video is just an awful reminder of how shameful that whole chapter was, and how people in Westminster weren't following the rules in the same way as people around the country. And when the Mirror first started reporting these parties, they tried to just bat them away and claim that that wasn't the case. They tried to hoodwink the public and say there wasn't anything to see here. And now, as we've seen from the Privileges Committee report, that's the cross-party comment group that looked into Boris Johnson, whether he told the truth about Partygate, we know that he deliberately misled MPs over and over again. When I saw the video first, I was quite surprised at it, because we've had loads of, obviously, the reports about Partygate have been going on for several years. But we've had all sorts of testimony about different things that happened, for example, on the eve of Prince Philip's funeral. But sometimes it's been quite difficult to picture these parties. And even if we've had still images, they're just such a snapshot, you can't really tell what's going on. But this is the first time we've had a video showing a party in full swing. You can tell that it's definitely not a work event. You can see a karaoke machine with flashing lights in the background. You can hear the Pogues' Fairy Tale of New York blaring out. You can see people dancing, drinking. It is quite clearly a party.
As long as we don't scream that we're like well, I'm pretty sure.
So I think that for a lot of people, it has brought back a lot of bad memories from the pandemic. And so people will be watching that video and thinking about the date when it happened, the 14th of December 2020. That's that Christmas when a lot of us weren't able to see our family and loved ones. And you just listen to radio phone-ins and the TV over the last couple of days. And a lot of people who lost loved ones in the pandemic have been sharing their stories of what they went through that Christmas and comparing it to that video. And I think that is particularly damaging for the Tory party. I think that Rishi Sunak hoped that with Boris Johnson leaving Parliament, that would be the end of Partygate and we'd never hear about it again. But this shows that Partygate wasn't just about Boris Johnson, it was about the Tory party more widely not following the same rules that everyone else did in the pandemic. I think that if you hadn't have had the Mirror doing the reports that it did on Partygate, then the public would have never found out exactly what had gone on in Downing Street and other places in Westminster during the pandemic. And obviously, all those people around the country who made massive sacrifices, followed the rules right to the letter, were very disappointed that things weren't happening the same here as they were happening around the country. And I think that's why it was important that people were held accountable for how they behaved during the pandemic.